はい、皆さんこんにちは、ケイティアン高橋です。今日はですね、au とスペース X の共同会見にお越しいただきましてありがとうございます。またご視聴中の皆さん本当にどうもありがとうございます。今日はこのプラネタリウムの会場を使ってですね、少し、プレゼンテーションさせていただきたいと思いますのでよろしくお願いします。プラネタリウムも実はスタートしてから100年なんですね。でちょうど日本の、衛星通信、これも今年で60年、ワンディケードが繰り返されてですね、その10年、単位の今日ですね、このような、会見ができて非常に嬉しく思っていますので、よろしくお願いしたいと思います。我々はですね、このずっともっとつなぐぞ au、このコンセプトに基づいて今までこのエリア設計を一生懸命やってきました。できるだけたくさんのところでずっと、そしてもっと、そしてつなぐぞ au っていうこのコンセプトでやってきたわけですけれども、いくつかねやっぱりこだわりを持ってですね我々エリア設計をやってきたんですが、まずこの日常をつなぐっていうことですね。この生活動線にこだわったエリア作り、この、鉄道路線、例えば、この幹線道路、そして商業地域ですね、皆さんが生活をされる、地域でですね 4G、5G がしっかりとつながるように我々今設計をしてですね、この人口カバー率が 99.9% 超、このエリアを構築してきましたが、これをさらなる拡充をしていきたいなというふうに常に思っているわけです。そして2つ目のこだわりですけれども、2つ目のこだわりは非日常をつなぐっていうこだわりですね。これはその生活動線でつながるということに加えてですね、特別な場所にこだわったエリア作りをしていきたいということを思いまして、一昨年2021年にスペース X さんと業務提携をして、このスペース X さんのネットワークを使うことによって我々の基地局のバックホールとしてですね活用させていただいて、山とか山であればですね100メーターの山小屋なんかも今どんどん使えるようにしてきているわけですけれども、またこの野外フェスですね、野外イベント、こういうところでも今まで非常に電波が悪かったんですけど、スターリンクさんのシステムを使ってここをエリア化する。また災害時もですね、例えばドローンと組み合わせてこの災害時に対応するとか、あるいはついに会場でもですね今お使いいただけるようにこのスターリンクを au の基地局に活用するということをやってまいりました。今までのこの活動についてですね少しビデオにまとめてありますのでご覧いただきたいと思います。じゃあお願いします。ありがとうございます。ただですね、今このようにして、エリアを拡大してきたんですけど、まだまだ課題は多いんじゃないかというふうに思います。日本というのは非常に山の多い国で16,667というふうに言われてまして、スイスでも大体9,000ですから非常に多い山の多い国なんですね。そしてまたですね、島の数、これも僕よく知らなかったんですが14,125もあるんです。でこの14,125っていうのはですね世界で5番目に島が多い国だというふうに言われています。非常にそういう意味においてはまだまだ使えないエリアっていうのが多いわけですね。でこれに加えてですね、実は日本の居住地面積率、これが 33% ですんでね、自然に囲まれた日本にありまして、諸外国と比べて住める土地がまだまだ少ないんですね。ちょうど欧米のデータを見ると大体6割以上というふうなデータが出てますので、そういう意味においては 33% っていうのはやはりその居住地域っていうのはエリアがですねまだまだ少ないというふうに言われているところであります。そういう意味においてその面積カバー率っていうのは 60% 程度なんです。 人口カバー率っていうのと面積カバー率っていうのがあるんですが、人が、お住まいになっている生活をされているエリアでは 99.9% のエリアをカバーしてるって申し上げてるんですけど、実は日本の国土の面積からすると 60% 程度なんです。でもそれでも頑張ってるんですよね。果汁面積が 33. 何%、ここにおいて我々面積カバー率が 60% ということになりますので、これをなんとかしたいっていう思いがあってですね、スペース X さんと一緒にですね、この地域のニーズにも応えていきたいというのが今回のスタートになります。そこでですね、我々は日本のどこにいてもつながらないがなくなるように、この思いを持ってですね、少し、考えてきたわけです。やっぱりそうするとですね、このエリアカバー率、このエリアカバーのを新次元の方へ進んでいかなきゃいけないんだろうなというふうに思いまして、今回、それがあってですね、我々は2023年8月30日、今日ですね、新たな業務提携をスペース X さんとすることといたしました。その具体的な内容はですね、こちらにありますように、日本全土をカバーする衛星とスマートフォンの直接通信ができるような、そういうふうなことをスペース X さんと共にやっていこうじゃないかというのが今回の業務提携になります。そして、これをですね、少しコンセプトムーブにしてみましたのでご覧いただきたいと思います。じゃあお願いします。どうだったでしょうか。このコンセプトをですね、スペース X さんと言葉でどう表現しようかということをいろいろ議論をしてですね、こういうふうにしてみました。空が見えればどこでもつながる。日本のどこにいてもですね、つながらないがなくなるように、これをですね、我々叶えていきたいというふうに思っております。それではですね、ここでですね、スペース X さんのシニアバイスプレジデントトムさんにご登壇いただきたいと思いますが、スペース X さんこういう場でお話しされるのは本当に初めてということで、少し長めにですね、詳しくプレゼンテーションしていただけると思いますので、ぜひともよろしくお願いします。じゃあトムさん、よろしくお願いします。
どうも、高橋さんどうもありがとうございます。スペース X のコマーシャルビジネスのシニアバイスプレジデントをやらせていただいている押野智也と申します。今日はこんな大事な場で少しお話をさせていただいて本当に光栄です。この辺から失礼ですけど、僕のボロい日本語から英語にちょっと切り替えさせていただきます。Hello, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Takahashi, for your invitation to be sharing the stage with you on this momentous day. And I'm really looking forward to be able to talk a little bit about SpaceX and about Starlink and how those things come together. I think the coolest way to get this started is to show you a brief video. So let me start with that.
Dragon, SpaceX, Comtrack ground stations.
Integration Forward, go for launch. Punch it, SpaceX.
3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome aboard, Dragon. We got to see ISS out the window, which was pretty neat. The largest window ever flown in space.
We have liftoff.
Starlink completely confirmed.
The test flight of the inaugural Starship vehicle, first stage engines nominal. Onboard view from Starship.
I hope you enjoyed that. I find that video personally very inspiring, but beyond that, it's also cool. But it's actually a great history of the first 25 years of SpaceX. Our company was founded in 2002 by our founder, Elon Musk, and within 21 years, we've come to this point where we are the de facto launch provider for the world. At this point, we launch more mass to orbit than any other launch provider. We've launched 250 plus Falcon 9 launches at this point. And of those 250, it's very notable that 190 of those were performed using previously flown flight-proven boosters. We leverage that technology, and now we've launched over 5,000 Starlink satellites, making us the world's biggest satellite operator. And we've done that in a very limited amount of time. So with that, maybe pivot a little bit to our core, which is our launch business. SpaceX is first and foremost a launch company, and this is the technology that allows us to do Starlink and basically come to the point where we can make the announcement here today with KDDI. So let me spend a minute talking to you about our launch vehicles. So starting at the very left, we put a human being just for reference, for scale. Next to that is Falcon 9. This is our workhorse. This is the rocket that we fly most often. And you can kind of see the scale difference between a person and the rocket. The rocket stands 70 meters tall. This Falcon 9 can be used to launch satellites and also crew. It can take 4 people at a time to space in a Dragon capsule, or you can fly satellites using the payload fairing here shown in this image. Either way, they're both utilizing the same rocket. So it's a human-rated, highly reliable system that's flexible enough to launch people and also satellites. And as I mentioned, this is our workhorse. We've flown over 250 missions, and this is the only rocket in the world, orbital class booster, that can be launched, landed, and reused in rapid cadence. And this rocket is qualified to fly at least 20 times, but we can qualify it for even further flights if needed. The rocket to the right, the Falcon Heavy, is the world's most powerful operational rocket. Stands the same height, 70 meters, because it's basically a Falcon 9 with two Falcon 9 first stages connected. And to kind of explain what I mean by first stage, second stage, this vehicle is a two-stage rocket that uses liquid oxygen and kerosene as its propellant. So there's a big rocket on the bottom with 9 engines, with a smaller rocket on top with 1 engine. And on top of that, you can either put a Dragon capsule with 4 people on, or you can put a satellite with a payload fairing. The first stage pushes the system up into orbit, separates, comes back, and lands, and then we refurbish and reuse it. The second stage and the payload continues into orbit to complete its mission. The Dragon capsule and the payload fairing is recovered and reused. So almost everything in this launch system is reusable except for the second stage. The vehicle on the very right, that's Starship, and that's the game changer. That will be the first fully reusable launch system. So no part of this vehicle will need to be thrown away. The first stage and the second stage will be completely reused. This is a 9-meter diameter rocket, stands 120 meters tall. We're going to be launching 100 tons to orbit, 100 tons to the moon, 100 tons to the surface of Mars, and this will be used to explore the solar system. And I hope you have been following some of the developments. We've had some successful suborbital flight tests, and this will be entering service very shortly. And it will be truly a game changer in terms of how fast and how much mass we can take to orbit. I've already harped a lot on this reusability concept, but this is really the reason why we can do what we do, a big chunk of why. Of course, the economics of reusing a launch vehicle is clear to everybody. I'm sure you can figure out if you don't have to throw the rocket away, of course it's going to be cost effective. But the part that is often not well discussed, in my opinion, is the amount of value there is, what you can learn from landing a rocket. You can inspect it, you can test it, and compare that against your simulations and your test. And using that information, you can inform the new design, iterate very quickly, and you get to the point where you have a vehicle that launches this reliably, this often, at a cost that is significantly lower than what the industry was expecting years and years ago. So reusability is really the key, and Starship being fully reusable and rapidly reusable like an aircraft. You land, you do a check, you fill it up with fuel, and you go again. Aircraft-like operations, I think that will be the true game changer in the space industry, and that vehicle is right around the corner. It says we're living in very exciting times. So this is the Starship animation. I'm showing the next generation Starlink satellites inside, and the concept that we're currently using to plan to deploy these spacecraft. So if you can think about it like a deck of cards, so you have a stack of flat satellites that are ejected out of a small slot and deploy the spacecraft in that fashion. This is a unique deployment mechanism that allows for very efficient packing and being able to launch a lot of spacecraft very fast. Beyond that, there are other variants of Starship that has a more conventional payload fairing. So you can kind of imagine opening it up on one side and a large spacecraft or a pressure module, telescope, whatever you can imagine. Big structures can come out. Beyond that, we also have a variant for people, of course, designed to take 100 people at a time to destinations in the solar system, including the moon, Mars. And we have a fluid propellant version, which is designed to take liquid methane and oxygen for propellant transfer purposes. But this is the first version that will go into service, and this is the version that will help scale the spacecraft needed to further extend the direct-to-cell network that we're announcing here today. So here are I love this picture. This is a view taken from the Falcon 9 second stage looking up. And what you're seeing is 60 Starlink satellites. So there's 30 on the left, 30 on the right, and then you can see the Earth in the background. It gives me goosebumps. It is not Photoshop. This is a real photo. And I believe this particular stack weighed in at 17.25 metric tons. That's the total mass of this stack. That is significant. And we're launching at a rate of a couple of times a week, 1 to 2 times a week. So you can kind of see how rapidly we can deliver spacecraft into orbit. And this workhorse, Falcon 9, has the one that's so far deployed over 5,000 Starlink satellites into space already. With this, we're already serving millions of customers, 7 continents, 60 plus countries. So we're well on our way for great global coverage. And once Starship comes in, that'll be a big game changer and a big inflection point on how much we can launch. With that mention of the millions of happy customers, I wanted to show you a really brief video of said happy customers.
Yeah, this is crazy. A lot of people don't realize this, but
because it's now mounted.
This little dish sits outside.
Itatry na namin yung Starlink.
Snow, frost, high winds, you name it.
Funciona bastante bien.
Myself, that roaming.
Got my pole-mounted Starlink here.
I'm gonna do a Starlink unboxing.
Starlink. Go
Starlink, go Falcon 9.
well, until commission.
Satellite Wi-Fi right here. We're going to be using in emergency situations when people need to communicate.
In the middle of nowhere, I'm playing on my computer off of a battery online on the Starlink.
I love that one because this is really kind of the reason why we do it. It's the happy customers, right? It's just beyond happy customers. We kind of take it for granted here in Tokyo with the amazing connectivity we have at our fingertips all the time, that there are 4 billion people out there who don't even have rudimentary access to the internet. And what Starlink brings those people into the fold where the terrestrial networks end, and Starlink comes in to bridge the gap to make sure that these folks have internet connection so that they have the same opportunities that we all have and we take for granted. You can even imagine, like 2 years ago during the pandemic, can you imagine trying to run a school or a business without internet? And we were able to step in and provide internet service. And it's been a true game changer, literally changing and saving lives. And today's announcement with direct to handset is going to further enhance that and literally will be saving and changing lives. So there's different ways I can illustrate how awesome this network is. I can give you a bunch of statistics, but I thought this was a cooler way to explain. So we stress tested the network by taking Starlink terminals to 4 locations around the world. First in Japan, Scotland, Brazil, and Spain. And we set that up in regions where they have no connectivity, and we had the gamers play a game called Fortnite, which is a pretty bandwidth requiring game, but also it requires very low latency to be able to play effectively and win. So what we did 100 hours of live gaming, and on top of that layered 50 hours of live streaming, and over 2 days of gameplay, able to show that the latency was in the order of 20 to 30 milliseconds. And maybe some of you might be thinking, all right, what does that mean? I can tell you, for me, it means my 12-year-old boy, Nisakichi, who's a big gamer, has stopped complaining about latency. And to me, that's a big metric. I have a very loud internal test person who lets me know how satisfied he is. So it's really cool, and I really encourage everybody to give it a shot. This is a game-changing system. All right, now let me bring it back more towards our relationship with KDDI. So over the last couple of years, we've been working with KDDI on various programs, but being this one was the first one. This is Starlink-based cellular backhaul service that was launched last December. And I believe the first location that we did it was in Hatsushima. So in Hatsushima was a cellular dead spot. So if you go visit them and they visit that island, your cellular coverage is going to be non-existent. So you won't be able to make any calls. You're in a dead spot. But as soon as KDDI turned on the Starlink-based cellular backhaul service, immediately everybody's phone is working again. You don't require a new hardware. You don't require software updates. It just transparently starts working. So it's a game changer for the folks of Hatsushima. But there are many, many islands, like Mr. Takahashi had mentioned. There's thousands of islands, thousands of mountains that require this type of connectivity. So KDDI is out there deploying 1,200 of these cellular backhaul systems, and they're going to continue to close out those dead spots and give better and better user experience for your KDDI subscribers. Another thing that we've done with KDDI is the enterprise-level reseller agreement for Starlink. And again, because of the number of mountains, the number of islands, Japan is uniquely situated to take advantage of this technology. You have a hospital on the other side of a mountain on the island, post offices, schools, disaster situations that are completely unconnected. By dropping in on enterprise level or even home use level Starlink networks, you can all of a sudden bring connectivity to places where you really didn't have almost any choices. But this has been a very game-changing piece of technology. And I encourage everybody to give it a shot. Like right now, it's available right here in Japan. You can go buy it, and it's a very easy system to set up. I literally, I think I set it up in 1 minute. I open the box, all the wires are connected, I drop it on the ground. Next thing you know, it's acquired a satellite signal, and we have a Wi-Fi network. So 1 year ago, I moved in a new house. I dropped that in the backyard, and I haven't touched it yet. So now 1 year later, it's operating 62 devices in my house, including my 12-year-old demanding gaming boy. And I have no reason to go seek out terrestrial service in Los Angeles. So again, very great system available right now. And finally, the reason why we're here today, this is super exciting, is that now our first direct-to-cell partner in Asia. Thank you, KDDI, for being there for us. So now, in regions of Japan where you do not have terrestrial coverage, like those locations that we discussed, as long as you can see the sky, your satellite, your telephone would automatically roam as needed and give you connectivity. You don't need a new handset, you don't need any device, you don't need any software updates. It will just work as long as you can see the sky. You don't even need to point it at the sky. Just as long as you're not in a building and you can see the sky, it will automatically sort out the roaming. So this will be a game changer for domestic KDDI subscribers who might be going mountain climbing on the boat or end up in regions where you don't have terrestrial coverage. But that's not all. KDDI subscribers who travel internationally will be able to take advantage of our partnerships we have around the world. We currently have 6, US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Switzerland, and now Japan. So which means a KDDI customer can travel to any of those locations. And immediately, without having to switch SIM cards, it will start communicating and be able to send SMS, text messages at first. And as we grow our network, voice and data services later. But this, again, will be a game changer for KDDI subscribers. And we continue to invite other operators around the world to join. And let's get in this together and offer reciprocity services, because it's really, at the end of the day, at the benefit of all our subscribers. Our subscribers should be able to travel anywhere in the world and not have to worry about changing networks. This should be just transparently handled. And this will be a game changer for emergency relief and all kinds of applications. So we're super excited to be able to roll this out and adding KDDI, Japan, and Asia to our portfolio of partners who make this technology possible. So thank you. Thank you very much, and thanks for your attention.
ありがとうございます。失礼します。はい、どうもありがとうございました。で今ですね、お話がありましたように、 この、壮大なコンセプトに基づいて2024年内このサービスを開始していきたいというふうに思っています。でまずはですね、メッセージ送受信から始めまして、順次その音声、データ通信も順次ですね対応予定でございますので、皆さんご期待いただければなというふうに思っております。今ですねお話があったようにですね、一番左側にありますようにこのスマートフォンから今回のコンセプトは衛星スターリンクの衛星群に直接つながります。でこれが携帯電話何も今までのスマートフォンを変えることなく直接つながります。でこれがですね今のこの地上局を経由して au のコアネットワークを経由してインターネットにつながるというこういう仕組みでございますので、今までのように基地局を介してつながるのではなく直接つながるというのが今回の大いなるポイントになってございます。ということでですね、今回の発表でございますけれども、スペース X 社さんと共同で次世代の衛星通信サービスを開発していきます。そしていつものスマホで空が見えればどこでもつながるというこういうサービスを実現します。そして2024年内にまずはメッセージの送受信から始めていこうというふうに思います。今日お話ししたように日常をつなぐ、ここについてはですねもう人口カバー率 99.9%、ドコモさんもソフトバンクさんも我々もほぼ同じようなエリアカバー率ができています。これからのその差別化のポイントはこの非日常をつなぐということでですね、お客様が素晴らしい体験をしていただけるようなエリアを今一つ一つ作り上げていきますが、それに加えて今回はですね空が見えればどこでもつながるということによってですね、日本のどこにいてもつながらないがなくなるように、これをですね我々の大いなる夢としてですね来年サービスを開始していこうというふうにスペース X さんと今回お約束ができましたので発表させていただきました。ぜひともよろしくお願いします。どうもありがとうございました。
高橋社長ありがとうございました。以上をもちまして au スペース X 共同会見を終了いたします。配信でご覧の皆様、最後までお付き合いいただき誠にありがとうございました。